Alrighty guys, it is Quaman here today, and I'm bringing you another Dragon Ball Super segment. And this is not going to be a news video. Geekdom 101 has already made a video talking about the news, and I don't want to take away from both the views, and I also don't want to take away from the fact that he was the first to report it. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you guys want to hear everything, please pause this video, and if you haven't heard the news, pause this video, go in my description, I'm going to make it the first link, and go check out a video that he did with Halcyon reporting on everything, because this video will be a video strictly talking about whether or not I feel that Dragon Ball Super has selected the right people to participate in a proposed fight. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video as I count down to 5 and give you guys a second to tune off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so let's get started. So basically, in a nutshell, for those of you who are still watching, you've clearly seen Geekdom's video by now, so all of the news that's been reported is already out there. Now, in Dragon Ball Super so far, we are currently on the Resurrection F arc, and the arc that's going to take place dealing with the Super Dragon Balls and everything is going to take place after between Team Beerus and Team Champa. Now, there hasn't been any news that's been released on Team Champa, but considering that this is coming from the manga chapter 6, we have now learned that there are now selections for Team Beerus. And the following members, as you would have known if you'd seen Geekdom's video, are Goku, Vegeta, Majin Buu, a secret warrior, and my favorite of all, Piccolo. And I have a lot of thoughts that I want to share about this because, in my honest opinion, I don't think Dragon Ball Super got it right. Now, let me just get started. So, let's first start off by talking about Goku and Vegeta. That was kind of a given. Everybody kind of expected it. Goku and Vegeta are on, the Whis' planet training to maximize their powers as Super Saiyan gods. And we know for sure that they're going to be in the Resurrection are taking down Frieza. So we already know that Frieza's going to be defeated. We all know this because Resurrection F is basically rewriting kind of to some minor degree what's going to happen from what took place in the movie. So, when you look at it from that perspective, Goku and Vegeta were kind of like set-ins. We knew they were going to be there, kind of similar to what I've mentioned before, like Takuya and Koji from Digimon Season 4? Yes, I think it was Season 4. That was the one where the humans were actually turning into Digimon. That was actually my personal favorite ones, where basically two characters are so much stronger than everybody else that everybody else kind of is taken out of contention. It was kind of like that in a way in Dragon Ball GT as well, where Goku and Vegeta could both turn Super Saiyan 4s, and when you basically look at everybody else, they're kind of like washed under the rug. And also considering Vegeta was technically a villain in GT because his body was used as a villain. So all of those things taken aside, we saw this coming. So that's all I'm basically going to say for Goku and Vegeta. Now, talking about Majin Buu next. Now, I feel like Majin Buu was the most... I have mixed opinions on this, because if you want to talk about power, Majin Buu makes sense to be the next person, because outside of Goku, Vegeta, and to whatever level of depreciation that Gohan's power level has taken a hit from, Majin Buu should be the next in terms of power. I would actually think, and I'm being completely unbiased here, I would think Majin Buu was still even stronger than Piccolo, and I made a whole video on how strong I think Piccolo was. So, when you look at it from that perspective, Majin Buu was a correct choice in terms of power. Now, what I don't like is that the fans, especially a lot of Dragon Ball fans who grew up more on the Funimation dub, we are not really, I guess you would say, supportive of Fat Buu. And I personally think he was the worst villain in the entire series, because I feel like he took away from the maturity of the series, turning people into chocolate, even though the other Buu forms did that too. Turning people into chocolate. I just didn't like a lot of his immature mannerisms that really didn't give him much of a strong villainous personality. I mean, if you look at Cell and if you look at Majin Buu, and if you look at, if you look at Cell and you look at Frieza, and if you look at Vegeta, because he was a main villain at one point of the Dragon Ball Z series too, and if you look at a lot of the Dragon Ball villains, King Piccolo, Mercenary Tao, General Blue, these are all villains, with the exception of General Blue, who was clumsy in many ways. these were all villains that had a serious villainous personality, and you got a different feel when you're looking at these guys versus a guy like Majin Buu. Now, Majin Buu is now a good guy, so that's basically what contributed to me disliking him as a villain, but in a way, he's still the same character. He's just fighting on the side of good. And I feel that by having Majin Buu, it's not going to really excite the fans because, number one, we haven't really connected with Majin Buu that much as a character the way we have for Vegeta and Goku. And at the same time, I also feel like Majin Buu's one of those guys where you're kind of like, well, yeah, Majin Buu, he's going to probably try to turn somebody into chocolate. He's going to get a temper tantrum in the middle of the fight. He's a very predictable guy, you know, considering the fact that, you know, he had a little tantrum against Beerus and he got his pink ass kicked. So when you look at everything along those lines, I thought Majin Buu was the wrong selection. Now, when we go on to Piccolo. Piccolo, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated characters in Dragon Ball, and that's one of the main reasons I like him. People call me a Piccolo fanboy. You can do all you want. But the main reason why I like Piccolo is because he's done so much for the series that nobody gives him credit for. And I've talked to Josh about this, and I say, listen, Piccolo basically helped the Z Fighters get through pretty much everything all the way up to the Buu Saga. If it wasn't for him, there were major things that would have gone in different directions. Now, obviously, other characters help with that too. I mean, considering the fact that if it wasn't for Piccolo, the very first villain in the Dragon Ball Z series would have been defeated. If Piccolo wasn't there, you wouldn't have Dragon Balls because Kami would also be dead and there would be no Dragon Balls. If you look at Piccolo, you know, considering the fact that he saved Gohan against Nappa, who was also an instrumental character in going to Namek. I mean, all of these different things that he did, I felt that he was underrated. And I also felt that he was a lot stronger than people gave him credit for. I've always argued there's a lot of evidence to support that Piccolo is stronger than Semi-Perfect Cell, considering when he went into the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, he was stronger than Vegeta and Trunks when they went in. Not when they came out, but when they went in. Because Piccolo, at that point when he had fused with Kami, he was the strongest on Earth for a very short period of time. So, when you look at that, and you look at the fact that Piccolo has always had that, I guess you could say, that fighter's mentality, but he just didn't have the punching power to back it up, I felt that he was a perfect addition for this. And I felt that as a fighter, he always uses his cerebral knowledge to try to take down stronger opponents. Now, Goku does this too, and I have a very big video planned with all this for the end of the year. I'm not going to spoil it. You know, only like 3 or 4 people know what this video is. But if you look at Piccolo, because of the fact that he's taken down villains stronger, like Raditz, he almost, well, I don't think he would have taken down Nappa, but, you know, he planned out a good strategy with Gohan if Gohan didn't wimp out. If you look at the fact that on Namek, I mean, he basically forced Frieza to fight him in his weighted clothing to make Frieza basically utilize a lot of his power so that when Piccolo took off his weighted clothing, you know, Frieza would be no match. Unfortunately, Frieza had 2 extra transformations that didn't help out. But when you look at all these things, fighting against 17, using the Hellzone Grenade, all of these different cerebral things about him, similar to Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho, I think make Piccolo a wise choice to be kind of the smart fighter instead of just having the pure godly power. If he gets the godly power, I definitely wouldn't have a problem with that. So I felt that Piccolo was a good addition. And yes, I will be honest, I'm slightly biased. Okay, maybe a little bit more than slightly, but we get the point. So now that I've talked about Piccolo, the next character that I wanted to discuss is no other than this mystery fighter. And a lot of people have been speculating about it. Of course, you're going to have the clickbaiters out there who are going to throw Broly in Dragon Ball Super. Oh man, Broly's going to be canon now. Oh man. No, guys, that's not going to happen. Broly's not going to be canon because, first of all, I could get into a million ways as to how Broly's not going to come back. I mean, I could give a plethora of reasons, so let's just go with the basics just to rule it out. And I have nothing against Broly. I just have a slight problem with those who over-speculate about Broly, because think about this, guys. Broly was defeated in the first Broly movie. He came back in Second Coming with the Zenkai boost. He was then basically evaporated into the sun. Then you look at Bio Broly. They defeated him there as a biological form. So, if you look at that, how on earth could Broly come back? And who would wish him back? And who would use the Dragon Balls to wish back Broly? And if Beerus is saying that this secret fighter is the strongest person that he had ever fought, I don't think it could be Broly, because even though Broly was, you know, a problem for the Z Fighters, the amount of power that Broly had proportional to the Z Fighters compared to what Beerus had compared to the Z Fighters, it's not even in the same cosmos. So when you look at that, it can't be Broly because of power, it can't be Broly because of the fact that Broly's dead, and it can't be Broly because I can't see anybody bringing Broly back to life. So Broly is not going to be that extra fighter, guys. I'm sorry for those of you who were thinking Broly's going to be canon. I've seen a ridiculous amount of forums speculating this, and I just wanted to just share my thoughts on that. And how could I forget the most important fact of all? The fact that Broly is a part of the movies, which is not a part of the official canon or the original story of the entire Dragon Ball series. However, this mysterious fighter is, in my opinion, is going to be somebody that we've never seen before, because obviously if Beerus is saying that it's somebody who's the strongest he's ever fought, then it can't be, you know, a character that we would probably know about, because if it would be a character that we know about, then we would know their power, and obviously Goku is the strongest person that we know out of our group of people, alongside Vegeta, Gohan, and the rest of the other Z Fighters. So if it's somebody that's strong, that could obviously fight Beerus on that level, it cannot be somebody on those lines. So I am definitely stoked to find out who this mysterious character is, and I definitely feel it's probably going to be some character that has godlike power that's never really been talked about before, so that can really explore the Dragon Ball series. Now, as for the left out characters, you know, I have a lot to say here, because number one, I wanted to talk about Goten and Trunks. I projected with Geekdom beforehand, you know, that I thought the 5 characters were going to be Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Goten, and Trunks. Why those 5 characters? Oh, because they all happen to be Saiyans, and I thought that they would all possibly, in whatever cosmos, there might be a small, slight chance that they could all get Super Saiyan God, and then the whole series is going to go in the direction of Super Saiyan Gods, and they're going to basically all fight as gods. That's what I thought was going to happen, and also because of the fact that Goten and Trunks would be really excited to do it. That was not the case. Goten and Trunks were not selected. I can see why, because number 1, they're kids, number 2, they're immature, number 3, they don't have as much experience as a lot of these other fighters, even though Majin Buu is kind of weird because he kind of fights based off of his natural abilities, but I can see why Goten and Trunks were omitted. Now, Gohan, I kind of understand why. A lot of fans are going to be ticked off, and the thing is, guys, Gohan is not really, I guess you would say, a major character anymore. And, you know, although Gohan was a central focus in the Dragon Ball Z series for a huge part of the show, or at least a decent portion of the show, he's out of that role. I mean, he's stopped training, you know, he's gone to become a scholar. And honestly, he's just not the character that he was before. So, as Black and Fist has said before, you can't look at Gohan the same way. So I understand why Gohan was omitted, even though Gohan was one of my favorite characters growing up, especially Teen Gohan. And I could see why he was left out. And, you know, I couldn't really see anybody else possibly joining, you know, the Z Fighters outside of maybe Tien or Krillin. And really, I don't think power-wise, those guys could have really kept up with the other people I mentioned. So I think they have a good team set forward. I definitely would have preferred to see Gohan come back into fighting over Majin Buu. You know, obviously Goku said he was studying, so I have a problem with Majin Buu, but I could definitely tolerate it. And that's basically been my video for today, guys. So share your thoughts in the comment section below about what you think about the team that they selected. And please check out Geekdom 101 if you haven't already on all of the news that he's recently reported on. And I hope you guys enjoyed. So most importantly, over everything else, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.